Often seen as the apex and most powerful of all the dark side religions, the Sith Order was comprised of Force-sensitive beings who dedicated themselves to and utilized the teachings of the dark side of the Force. But an individual didn't necessarily have to become a member of the Sith Order to worship the teachings of the Sith, as many did so by joining not the Sith Order, but a Sith cult. But who were these Sith cultists, and how powerful were they in relation to the Sith and other dark side users? In this video expose, I will explain who these Sith cultists are and describe their powers in the dark side of the Force. A Sith cultist generally refers to an individual who is a member of an active Sith cult. They were often secretive organizations that operated within the shadows of the galaxy, thereby making it difficult for outsiders to know about their existence. Sith cults would not just praise and worship the established teachings of Sith philosophy, but many times they would come to practice them as well. More than just devoting themselves to the philosophy of the Sith, these cults would often dedicate themselves to and worship ancient Sith Lords. Many times, Sith cults were led by individuals who were not only charismatic leaders, but who were also strong in the dark side of the Force. This was done to ensure that the leader inspired both faith and fear in the cult's followers. But it should be noted that not every Sith cult was comprised of Force users, as there did exist cults that were made up entirely of non-Force sensitives, such as the cult of Exar Kun. However, although the title of Sith cultist generally referred to any member of a Sith cult, there was one cult whose members came to be specifically associated with the term Sith cultist. This was the Sith cult named the Disciples of Ragnos, led by Tavion Axmis. The Disciples of Ragnos, also known as the Cult of Ragnos, was a Sith cult that was established 14 years after the events depicted in A New Hope, and worshipped the ancient Sith Lord Marka Ragnos, who'd been deceased for roughly 5,000 years. Under the leadership of Tavion Axmis, a former apprentice to a Dark Jedi, the disciples sought to resurrect the fallen Sith Lord and use his considerable power to rule the galaxy. To achieve this ultimate goal, Tavion planned to use an ancient Sith artifact that she found on the planet of Comenor, known as the Scepter of Ragnos. The scepter had the ability to siphon Force energy from a Force nexus, a location within the galaxy that possessed a significant amount of Force power. Ultimately, Tavion hoped to siphon enough Force energy to resurrect Ragnos and usher in a new era of Sith domination over the galaxy. But until the time that Ragnos could be resurrected, Tavion used the scepter to empower the Sith cultists who comprised her Disciples of Ragnos with the siphoned Force energy, thereby allowing them to tap into the power of the Force. The disciples could use this newfound Force sensitivity to utilize dark-side techniques, such as Force Lightning and Force Choke, and even some light-side ones. However, their abilities in using the Force were not particularly powerful, and when confronting a Jedi, the disciples used their numbers to try to pose a serious threat, rather than merely their skill in the Force. But what they lacked in Force ability was made up for in their ability to fight to the death with fanatical fury. These Sith cultists were also trained in basic lightsaber combat. Although they lacked the skill to create their own lightsabers, the cult mass-produced lightsabers to be wielded by the disciples using synthetic crystals. The disciples tried to make up for their lack of skills in lightsaber technique by utilizing the Dunmok form of lightsaber combat, wherein they would arrogantly taunt their opponents in an effort to manifest doubt and distraction within them. Ultimately, although the Sith cult brought a tremendous amount of destruction and suffering to the galaxy, Tavion was killed in the same year that the Disciples of Ragnos was formed, and the efforts of the cult to resurrect the ancient Sith Lord Ragnos were stopped. So there we have it, who the Sith cultists were, and their abilities in both using the Force and in lightsaber combat. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions? Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. If not for me, for Marka Ragnos.